A guy quits in May. Another guy quits in July. You're looking at 2 resignations, 2 conversations, 2 sets of reasons. It's actually one event. The second one left because of the first one, and nothing about how you're handling it is going to stop a third. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, and wherever you happen to be right now. I'm Mike Voories, here to help you build a stronger team. Today, we're talking about what actually takes your second guy. It isn't his reasons, it's the load you handed him the day the first guy left. Let's start on the ground. You've got a 3-man crew. One of them quits. Let's call this former employee Guy A. Maybe he gave you 2 weeks, maybe he didn't. You post the ad that afternoon, you make a couple of calls, and you tell yourself you'll have someone in a few weeks. The work doesn't shrink while you look. Nobody calls the customer to tell them the route got shorter. So, the 3-man crew runs as a 2-man crew, and everything that guy used to carry gets split between the 2 who stayed. Now look at one of the 2 who stayed. Let's call him Guy B. Guy B was fine. Not thrilled, not looking, fine. He liked the crew, he liked the work well enough, and he figured he'd be there next spring. Then, his weeks got longer. Then Saturdays started showing up. Not every Saturday, just enough of them. He tells his wife it's temporary because you told him it was temporary, and you meant it when you said it. 8 weeks later, Guy B quits. And here's what you do with that. You sit there and you run through Guy B's reasons. The commute, the new baby, the offer he just couldn't pass up. You file it as a separate problem with a separate cause because that's how it arrived. Separately, 8 weeks apart, in 2 different conversations. But it's the same event. Guy A leaving is what took Guy B. The reasons Guy B gave you are just the shape it had taken by the time it got to him. Back up, because the first one didn't happen to you out of the blue either. He was gone in his head long before he was gone off the crew. I say this all the time. People quit before they leave. That happens over months. He quit putting his hand up for the extra work. He quit complaining about the things he used to complain about. And that's the one that gets missed because it looks like things actually got better. He answered questions and stopped asking any. And you probably saw some of it, right? You read it as a mood, a rough patch at home, a guy going quiet in the middle of the season. But it wasn't any of those. It was a decision getting made in slow motion, and by the time he said it out loud, he'd been done for a while. So you had months on Guy A. You had 8 weeks on Guy B. Both of them look like something else at the time. Here's where an owner pushes back on me, and I understand why. They say, if Guy B was that unhappy, he would have told me. He wouldn't have. And let me tell you how I know. People say things to a recruiter they've never said at work. Not because they're lying to you, because there's no cost in saying it to us. Here's what that sounds like. I'm not necessarily unhappy, I just want to see what's out there. I have kids, and the schedule is just completely incompatible with my family life. I want more of a normal work-life balance. Not one of them said that the company was bad. Not one of them said the money was bad. Every one of them said the same thing a different way. The job stopped fitting their life, and every one of them said it to a recruiter before they said it to their boss. So, no, he wasn't going to tell you. He was going to tell somebody who wouldn't make him defend it. And that's also why I'm not going to hand you the raise answer either. You could have given Guy B $1 an hour and he still loses his Saturdays. A raise doesn't put a third man on that truck. And no, a lot of overtime is not a benefit, no matter how many job ads list it like one. You cannot buy back a Saturday. If you're in snow and ice management, this same thing runs faster and cuts deeper. You know, nobody plans a 20-hour shift. Nobody writes it on the schedule. It happens because you're short, and you're short because somebody left. And the guy eating that shift is the guy who stayed. If you've worked a winter of it, you've seen this happen. Now, some of you are hearing that and thinking, well, that's what it takes. That's the business. That's loyalty. People will step up. I've watched crews carry a company through a season nobody thought they'd get through. And they did it because they cared about the place and they cared about each other. That's real, and I'm not going to take it away from anybody. But loyalty runs both ways. Being short-staffed is not the crew's problem to solve by working more. That's an ownership problem getting paid for out of somebody else's Saturdays. And everybody has a limit. You don't get to know where it is, but you will find out. I'm not going to give you the other one either, that nobody wants to work anymore. Look, a 60-hour week isn't a generational problem, it's a leadership problem, and it started with a decision that got made, or didn't get made, the week the first guy quit. So now you're down 2. Take a second look at who you have left. Your best remaining guy is the one every competitor in your market would take tomorrow. Some of them already know his name. And right now, today, he's working the hardest he's worked all year, covering for 2 people who are gone while you interview strangers. That's the part that should sit in your chest, right? He's probably not even mad. He's tired. He's carrying it. And he's the easiest person in your company for somebody else to hire. So here's the one thing to do this week. It isn't a policy and it isn't a program. It's a conversation and it only takes 20 minutes. Find the person who has absorbed the most since your last departure. You know who it is. You can name him without even looking anything up. And then I want you to ask him what it cost him. Don't ask how you holding up. Not, you good. Those get you, yeah, I'm good. And you both walk away relieved. Ask him what he's given up since the day that guy left. Ask him what he's missed. Ask him what he's had to tell his wife. Then stop talking and let it stay quiet long enough for him to answer. You might not like what you hear, and that's the point. It's the only version of this you get before a resignation letter. Because everything you're doing to replace him, the ads, the interviews, the training weeks, the customer who's on their 3rd crew this summer, is retention work. You're just doing it in the wrong order at the worst time of the year for a worse result. If that's where you're at right now, down a guy and covering it with the people who stayed, that's the moment we're built for at BR1. We help owners reach the good people who aren't answering ads and build the kind of place the ones they already have don't go looking to leave. Links in the description to connect with us. Until next time, keep building your stronger team.